What's up, all you doodles and doodlers out there, you schemers and dreamers, and welcome back to Doodle Talk episode 11. And boy, do we have a special episode for you. I got my friend, my boy, Yammi Noob in the building. Eric, what's up, man?
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Yam. Wait, no, this is. Hold on, Sam. This isn't.
Yeah, Eric.
Fuck, dude. Hold on. It's so Sam. It's so hard not being Yammi Noob and doing a podcast. Let me. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Okay, we're good.
This
We're
this
good.
is
We're
Doodle
good.
Talk. This is Doodle Talk. We don't talk about motorcycles over
You
here.
don't. You don't have to know what the best beginner bike is, do you? You don't even care, right?
I don't even know what a motorcycle is.
Great. That's music to my ears, Sam.
Yeah,
music
man.
to my ears.
Yeah, don't worry. This is Doodle Talk up in here. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on. It's great having you here.
Oh, I really appreciate it. This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I've done a few kind of outside motorcycle pieces of media and podcasts, but this one's obviously special because you and I go way back and we're actually like friends and stuff. And we recently just caught up and like chatted after it had been so long. Like, dude,
I think we said like
so
10
many
years, basically.
It's been a long time. Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, but I mean, it was so nice catching up with you. And I mean, this is just basically this podcast as well is kind of a nice excuse to just get more time in talking with you and stuff. So yeah. I'm super excited, man.
I'm really pumped, especially because of the topic that we're talking about today as well, because it relates to what you're trying to do and kind of what I've done. And that's a fun way to catch up too, because last time we chatted, I didn't regale you with like the whole Yammi Noob folklore.
Yeah,
so I get to do that now, which is fun.
Yeah. So for anyone tuning in, Eric's here today, and we're going to be talking about like turning your hobby into a career, taking those passion projects, those side projects that you love and you want to pursue further, and kind of like how do you turn that into your full-time job? And because I want to know too, so I'll be asking Eric some questions, and hopefully for anyone watching it'll be good for you too. But yeah, so I mean, just before we get into that, just what you've been up to recently.
Yeah, so as of recently, I guess somewhat recently in October this past year, I got married, so that was a really big deal.
Congrats, man. Congrats.
Thank you very much. It's married life is awesome. I highly recommend it as long as you have the right person. Don't get married to the wrong person, because then it's gonna be a disaster. But find a good one, lock them down, because it's definitely worth it. We also recently bought a house, which was super cool. I was showing you the new man cave I have set up,
so awesome.
which is, dude, I'm so pumped. It's like my biggest dream come true is to have a standalone little building that I can just be as loud as I want with my music, which is something we're going to talk about a lot in today's podcast, is music, because that's how you and I are connected too. What else? I've been, man, just there's a lot of Yammi Noob stuff going on. Like we have a Kawasaki H2 that's currently being built back. We're actually going to go do the Texas Mile with that bike, and we're going to go over 200 miles per hour with it, which is going to be
I know that's
fun.
Pretty fast.
Yeah, you do know that.
Yeah.
You can tell. That's your expert opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, just having a lot of fun. We're back to club racing again this year. So we have a Ninja 400 that we're doing some endurance racing with. It's a 6-hour event on a racetrack. I did that a little bit in 2020, and we're doing it again this year with a better team. So fingers crossed we can actually take the number one plate and win this year. That would be really cool. And yeah, that's it. I'm like settling into my like 30s DIY home project life, like just, living that kind of lifestyle right now. It feels really good to feel like I'm putting on a nice pair of slippers, settling into that 30s type of thing. Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, actually, I just turned 30 a couple weeks ago. It's crazy.
I was gonna say, happy birthday.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Because yours is March, right? March birthday.
Mine's
April.
October.
God. My bad. We'll cut that part out.
I love how you corrected. You're like, no, April for sure. I'm like, not even close.
In my head, it was like either March or April. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
don't worry.
Yeah, nice. But it's crazy being 30. Because let me know if you felt this way. I felt like when I turned 30, more so than ever, I had this kind of like retrospective moment of like goddamn, I've just been here for so long now. Like I did like a YouTube
You're like a
rewind of
house
my
plant
life.
that's just been left out to dry or something.
I'm just I was a sapling, and now I'm like a little tree, like growing into a big oak tree or whatever. But it was like a really nice, like humbling. It wasn't like depressing in any way, which I guess sometimes it can be kind of sad when you're like, oh God, I'm getting older. But yeah, I just had a really nice, like, man, like life is so crazy, and life is so short too. So it's like I was just
100%.
like, and this is kind of what we're going to be talking about as well, is like recently I've just really flipped the switch of being like, because I mean, you know, I've done art stuff and music stuff for forever, since making music in my bedroom when we were 14, and we had a band together, which we can talk about, the Purple Roots, which we should.
Yeah.
But just that switch of like, okay, I want to do what I want to do, and if I don't give it a true, honest shot, I will regret it. I'm not going to regret
100%.
I'm not going to regret like trying my hardest and failing at something, but I told myself, I had this like heart to heart, and I was like, you will regret it if you do not just hunker down and like sacrifice and try really hard at something. Like, give it a genuine shot, because if you don't, you're going to regret it. So you better do it, dude, is like the talk I had with myself. And then that kind of merged with like turning 30, and similar to like, I kind of feel like more settled in my own skin. You know, it just helps. Getting older, you have more experiences, and you start to learn more about the world, and it's kind of cool. So
yeah,
getting older doesn't always suck. Yeah.
No, for sure. So my wife is 25, so she's 5 years younger than I am.
Yeah.
And her younger brother is 21, 22, something like that. And his girlfriend is like 21 or 22 or something like that. So I find myself hanging out with people who are quite a bit younger than I am. And it's funny, I know you'll relate with this, where like there's this thing when you're in your 20s of like you're trying to figure yourself out, and like every other year you're like, what if I did this, or what if I did that? But like you said, there comes a point where you're like, I kind of know what I'm about, you know, like you kind of know what you like to do and what you're about and what you want to do. And there's not as many questions anymore, which is nice. You're just like, like I know what I want to do and I feel good about it, and I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's a good way of putting it. Like, there's not as many questions. Like you know the answer already. So you're just like working towards that answer. Instead of like being at 0, you're at like a 1 or 2, and you're just like working your way towards getting there, which is really nice, and it feels good. Like, sorry, like, I don't know, seeing some of your like the fruits of your labor a little bit as you like grow older. It's trippy. It's really crazy, but because
dude, I literally had that moment today when I was in the man cave, and I looked around and I was like, this all happened because of years of work, you know, like that led me to this moment that I feel finally, for the first time in a long time, like genuinely successful. Like, I'm married, I have this house, I have this business, and I'm like, this is so awesome that if you just keep doing something kind of thoughtfully and successfully for a while, eventually it yields, you know, fruits of your labor, like you said, right? But you have to stick with it. That's the thing. And that's what's so hard. Like you said, going from that 0 to 1, where it just feels like you're putting out stuff and nobody's paying attention and nobody sees it. And then eventually people start seeing it and it kind of grows. And then that's the fun part. But the first couple kind of months or years of doing it, dude, is like, oh my God, it's so hard.
Well, that's a perfect segue, because I wanted to ask you, like, what was the turning point for you when you started a YouTube channel? And because you were working a full-time job on the side, right? Like, what was the turning point for you where you saw it and you're like, oh shit, I think I can do this? Because that's something I really want to know for you. Like, when did that happen?
So I'll give you a bit of background. So I made the channel. I made the channel in June 14th of 2015.
Wow.
That was the day that I made the account Yammi Noob, and the account name was a throwaway account name because I just needed a way to show my dad that I was riding my bike and wearing all my gear, because he was in Brazil at the time, taking care of some business, and he was like, I can't believe you bought a fucking motorcycle. Like, why did you do that? And I was like, dude, I'm wearing all my gear. I'm being safe. Don't worry. So I put together this little video of me on my bike to show him. And it's pretty crazy because he passed away on June 15th, 2015. which was literally the day after I made the channel. And so he actually never saw the video that I made.
Damn.
And so I kind of I kept posting stuff as a way of like communicating with him almost, and like just being like, let me just keep posting stuff. Like maybe he's seeing it from wherever he is, type of thing. But the real turning point was about 8 months after that. I knew that people were like getting big on YouTube, and like that was a thing that could be done. And you know, as you know from my background, like I tried my hand at a lot of music stuff, a lot of art projects, stuff like that, trying to get a bit of notoriety, of following. Never panned out for me with the music stuff, but we'll talk about that more in the podcast later too. But I could see that I had something with this YouTube channel that people seemed to resonate with, the way I was editing it, or like the bikes I was riding, and I was like, okay, cool. So there was one day where I had to make this video, because the format that I was doing at the time was just a GoPro on a helmet and a microphone, and I'd go out and ride and talk about stuff. It was a moto vlog. That format still is popular today. But there was this one week where it was just like raining every fucking day, and I was like, dude, I can't go ride because like the footage is gonna look terrible, and just the clouds and all that. I was like, let me figure out something else. So I wrote up a script at home called the 9 sport bike riders you will meet. I kind of did this like list-based video that was kind of like a fun, play on the types of riders you'd meet and stuff like that. I recorded it kind of like this with like a microphone, and then I got a bunch of like meme photos because I didn't want to get copyright struck. So I just got a bunch of meme photos. I put the vocals up there, just timed it really well, and I put some classical music underneath it because I didn't want to get copyright strike. And I was like, that's a video, I guess, fuck it, right? And then I posted it, and dude, people really liked it. It blew up. It got like 60,000 views in a day, which
damn,
I'd never seen anything like that before. And that was the turning point, to answer your original question. The day that happened, I was like, I can do this. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. And it was 2.5 years after that point that I actually took it full time and did the whole thing. But that was the first moment that I actually saw engagement. That was the first video I'd made $100 off of, that I was like, dude, I can pay for gas this month. I was like, this is great. I was like, this is fucking awesome. But that was a turning point. Yeah, that was it. It just took that one video that kind of did the spark and kind of got the ball rolling. And I feel like I've just been ushering this ball ever since that moment, basically.
I love that. I love how you were saying, like, I saw it, and you're like, I don't know how exactly, but like, I know I need to do this now. Like, that's beautiful. That's great. Yeah, that's crazy. Because my next question was going to be also like, so like, obviously there's the turning point, and then you said like about 2.5 years after is when you felt like comfortable like taking it full time, basically.
Yeah, dude, it was like, so YouTube in 2016 was a very different place than it is in 2023. There were very low ad rates at that time, and I didn't understand that watch time was related to ad dollars, right? I would put up these 2 to 3 minute videos, and I'd be like, well, fuck, this thing didn't make any money. Well, it needs to be over a certain length for it to make more money. You also need to focus on the type of audience too. Like, it sucks, but the way it works is like, if you capture more American viewers, it makes more money than if you capture Indonesian viewers, because there's more ad dollars at stake. And so I didn't realize that I had to tweak my content a little bit to make more money, to kind of take it full time in that way. But no, I mean, I really ran it as a side hustle for a long time, just because I was working at 2 different startups, and I was on a pretty good little career path. But then at one point, it's a really funny story actually. So there was my channel was really taking off in late 2018. Something was just like aligning where the content I was doing was just doing super well. I signed a bunch of really big sponsorship deals. We launched our Patreon giveaway bike thing. Like, shit was just fucking coalescing, And my boss at the time knew that I was like doing this YouTube channel thing. He was about to promote me, and he sat me down for a meeting. And he was like, yo, I think you should just go do this YouTube thing.
Wow,
and I was
really?
like, are you firing me? Like, and he was like, no. He's like, you're, at the time I was like 26. He's like, you're 26. You got the world is your oyster. You have no commitments. He's like, just go do it. See what happens. And I was like, damn, that's awesome.
Goated fucking boss there.
Goated, absolutely
Yeah.
goated.
Holy
And
shit.
that was the last real job I ever worked. That was 4.5 years ago. And yeah.
Damn, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's, and I remember, I do remember like just seeing you start the Yammi Noob YouTube channel and like seeing you kind of blow up over the years, and it was cool.
Oh, cool, man. I
yeah.
didn't know you were kind of keeping up with it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I remember, because I know I've seen, like, you know, I haven't obviously watched every single one of your videos because I'm not super into
What
motorcycles.
the fuck,
yeah,
Sam?
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. But, you know, like, I've definitely seen, especially, I remember some of those older, like, the list videos and stuff that you've done.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember, because the funny thing is like, to me, YouTube back then was just like, just you watch videos on it. It's just a website you watch videos on and stuff. And I mean, it was basically like that for a while, honestly, until like the past like 1 or 2 years when I actually started getting more invested like in watching YouTube. I mean, like, I'd say I watch more YouTube content than anything else right now, like more than Netflix and more than whatever, anything. It's just because it's grown into such like a diverse the website with so many different things. Like, there's so many good like content creators and stuff.
Yeah, so many great pieces of content.
Yeah, like, and there's so many people just like pouring their hearts into like making some content for like some niche group of people, and against all odds it's like succeeding, which is like such an awesome thing to see. And I know like YouTube's not perfect, obviously. There are things that I'm sure everyone, especially I'm sure you know a lot of shit that you could complain about with YouTube, so I don't want to put it on a pedestal, but right
now it's shorts. But
we could talk about that too, because I was doing some research.
I have lots
recently.
of opinions about shorts.
Okay. All right, well, before we go further in the time, let's take a step back then and like talk about, because we have a similar like earlier path, like upbringing kind of thing, right? So like, for anyone who doesn't know, we went to high school together, and we hung out in the same like friend group. We used to skateboard together. Eric's got some fucking buttery trays, so if you catch him on the streets, look out for those trays, son. But that, we both always had good tray flips.
You had some buttery, we both had good tray flips.
I think we had like a spiritual bond there.
Yes.
Just like, if we ever play skate or something, it's like we both got tray flips. Like, don't even need to do them. But we were also in a band together, which was really fun. Dude, I still think about that one talent show where we played like those two songs.
God.
You did the fucking solo behind the back, dude. And we were like, dude, we have to win now. Like, that was amazing.
And we didn't fucking win.
Yeah, we got like 3rd or 4th or something. And like, of course, the like.
What's funny is I piloted out that move again in another talent show, and then I did win.
Hey,
and so I was like, I was like, the move does work, bro. People love the behind the head.
I think we just did.
I was gonna say, it was so funny that that talent show. I was so nervous to play that shit, dude.
Really?
I literally almost threw up before we went on stage. I was so nervous. And then the rest of the day after that, I was just like a mess. Like, it's so nervous, like so much stage fright. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's so not, because I attribute, like, I'm not really like, normally when I make a video or if I'm like talking on camera and stuff, I don't really get that nervous, mostly because I have that experience of playing music before. Because I also like going into college and stuff, like played some solo shows and stuff, just like Redwood Willow stuff, and just like having to, because I took like classical guitar lessons, and you have to, you know, I did other recitals and stuff throughout that time as well, and you really have to get over it, and you have to get over stage fright. Like, of course I still get nervous sometimes, like kind of like doing something like this with you, like I got a little nervous, but you know, once you get into it, it's fine. But I think that's such an overlooked skill of like, if you've never gone on stage, if you've never done public speaking, it's like, it's such a beneficial thing to like dip your toes in the water and like get used to doing stuff like that. And I think if you're interested in creating videos and stuff, it's something you definitely need to start getting used to.
Yeah, I think you and I share the kind of like, because I mean, you took music further in a different way than I did, because like I also, you know, I played in a different band after that. I played with Copaset. We recorded our album, and then I produced music on my own. I still produce music on my own, and I wanted to get your sense on this of like, it feels like music is like the dream that got away in a way. You know what I mean? It's like the one that slipped out of my hand, and I can never get over that for some reason. Where like I'll put up a Yammi Noob video now, it'll get 20, 30,000 views in the first day. If it's a good one, 100,000 views, whatever.
Yeah.
But if I could put out a song that got 1,000 views, it would mean so much more than that, So I wanted to see, like, do you feel that way about your music? Do you feel like that's something, or like your art, you're just like, I really want to be known for this,
Yes, that's a very good question. And I've had quite a few different like emotions on this over the years. And partly with me, it was like music became like sacred to me in a way where like that, like before, because I did a lot of drawing as a kid, like early on, and then I kind of switched to music, and then now I'm back to like doing drawing and like kind of audio and stuff together. But like for me, like I wanted to so bad, like when we were in that band, and then even after, because we both did our own things, like kind of going after high school and stuff. But for me, it was like I wanted it so bad to be able to make music and be recognized. But it got to a point where I was like, I really didn't want to like sell out in any way of like just in the sense of like I didn't care about like I wanted to make it bigger, obviously, so I was willing to do certain things, but I wanted my, if I was gonna make it, it was gonna be my music, my way. And like you're saying, like it also didn't pan out for me really, and part of that is because I don't think I pushed it enough, and like I kind of like started to not give up, but just like found other things that I was interested in. And
same,
I mean, like back to my point though, like it became sacred in a way where I was like, I'm just gonna set this over here, and like this is now its own separate thing, where like I do like our friend Tim Ross, like we still we've like tried to record some things together, and he still makes a lot of music, and I still make music in my own time. I like even just like singer-songwritery stuff, like I still to this day. Is it for you? I don't know, like do you like come up with lyrics for a song or something, or like sit down just jam it out real quick or something?
100%. It feels natural.
It doesn't go away. That's the thing too. Is like that's what's kind of crazy. And like I went to school for music composition at UNT, and like graduated with a composition degree.
You know a lot more about music, like theory and composition, than I ever did, for sure.
Well, and it just feels crazy because like so for me, this is kind of what sealed the deal, right? Is I was graduating, and I had basically had two choices, because I was getting some recommendations and I was talking to professors, and we like met with this one guy who was a composer who lived out in like LA. He like came and did like a lecture, and we got to go eat dinner with him. And I just saw these two paths. It's either you go to LA, this is at the time, so this is like 2016, right? You go to LA or you go to New York, and you just like you live off of nothing for 4 or 5 years.
You eat shit for years. You
live in your car and you eat shit for breakfast, and you try and make it as like a composer or a musician. And then I had this like magical third option that appeared, where it was like I could go teach in Japan for like a year. It was a year and a half was the original thing. I was going to go teach for a year and a half and then come back. And that was when I was going to make the final decision of music, or like what I wanted to do with my life. And obviously like everything kind of changed after that. But I mean, kind of getting back to your main point, it sometimes like it's not like a regret thing, but it does feel like it kind of like it's the white whale that kind of like got away.
Exactly. It's not regret, because I still make my stuff, and I love what I make, but it's the white whale. But I love what you said about, because I do the same thing of compartmentalizing it and putting it in this kind of sacred space. But I feel like, going back to the original point of the podcast, the reason that my motorcycle Yammi Noob thing took off is because I wasn't precious about it, because I didn't care that much about it. And dude, I would just yeet stuff out there. I didn't give a shit, and it worked, you know, because like I feel like the people who do that are the ones who can make something out of it. If you're too precious about it, you can't. It doesn't work. I don't know what it is about it, but it doesn't work.
Yes, that's so perfect, because my next question was gonna be that, because it's like we both have these like we have multiple outlets, right? Like we both love art. Like you're good at art too. Like a lot of your
I started
your painting and stuff is really good,
college.
Dude.
I started college as a fine arts major, which is hilarious. Yeah. But then I ended up as an econ major. I graduated in economics, but I was gonna be a fucking painter.
No, but your paintings and stuff are really good, and like I don't know, you just you have a lot of just innate like artistic ability, right? And so for people like that, we have like multiple outlets, multiple creative outlets that we have. But like my question was gonna be is because like we both kind of like you kind of have to make the decision like, okay, I'm not gonna pursue music full time. I'm gonna do this YouTube kind of thing. Like, well, you kind of already addressed it, but like, what was it like kind of just making that decision, or like, is it hard then for you to stick to making motorcycle content? Because obviously you love it if you're doing it like this, right? But like, how does it feel for you, like making that choice of like, actually, I'm not going to do music. I'm going to do the YouTube stuff or the motorcycle stuff.
Yeah, it was really painful for a couple years there, because I would see my music equipment just collecting dust, and I would feel like I'm, you know, not praying to my sacred objects, right? I would feel like I'm not doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing. But yeah, it's so interesting. When I got started with the motorcycle stuff, I don't know, it's like I said, because I wasn't precious about it, I never had a second thought to make stuff with it, and to not, I don't know, it was more because like with music, like, you know, I would approach it, and I would really like sacrifice myself to make something I thought was amazing. But with the motorcycle content, it was so much more open-minded and curious of like, oh, let's see where this goes. I don't know, let's see what happens with this. And that mindset really was so different than the kind of, and what's tough about it too is me with music, it was such a catharsis, right? It was so much like, I'm going to work through my angsty young 20-something emotions through this. I'm going to have my breakups and this, and, you know, family members passing away, that sort of thing. Let me compartmentalize this and kind of work through it in that way. And so it's a form of therapy. And so even now, it's like, well, I don't want to share that with anybody. You know, like why does anybody need to hear about my bullshit? You know, like let's make something positive and good for people. So it was like a total, I don't know. Yeah, it was hard to, like you were asking, walk away from music in a sense. But I feel like now in the last year or so, I've struck a really nice balance. Like actually on my Bandcamp, I kind of rebranded my stuff, and like I had a lot of fun with that. I made like 10 new songs, and just to prove that I could, you know, and I approached it from just like I'm just going to make shit. I'm not going to treat this preciously. I just want to see if I keep an open mind. And guess what? My music got better, right? Like the shit that I was making got better because you didn't treat it that way. So, I mean, it's tough. You know, it's tough.
No, I like that. I like that idea of like, because the motorcycle stuff isn't so precious, you actually figured out like, oh, damn, like I can make a positive change with this stuff, or like I can help people with this kind of stuff. And I think it was similar with me, where I was like, music like was so, and same for me, like it was very cathartic, and it like I got to like kind of a point where I had kind of like worked out a lot of stuff, because I had some, you know, some kind of darker years back in college and stuff. Like went through a lot of depression and stuff like that. And like once you come out of it and like get to a point where you're a little bit more stable in life, you know, you're growing up, you're getting over things, you're becoming an adult. And for me, it was kind of just like, I don't have the need to like make this music for the same reason. So I can't force it. I don't want to force it. I don't want to force it to be something that I wouldn't be really happy releasing or anything like that. So for me, I gradually then shifted back to like, I got back into drawing about a year before I graduated college, and kind of like fell in love with that again. And then the whole thing that tied it together was like animation for me, because I like doing like just small little animations. I'm by no means like a crazy professional animator or anything, but like mixing the music with the video and stuff and like putting it together just became like such a beautiful process to me in my eyes. And like trying to figure, so this is a good segue back into the YouTube thing, is like I struggled for so long, like because my main thing was just Instagram for a while, like trying to like, because a bunch of artists I follow, you know, like they start a shop, like online shop. They're selling prints, or they're doing commissions, and like I just was never that type of artist where like I wasn't gonna make like character commissions for people. I wasn't really selling prints because I didn't really love making like the physical art and stuff like that. And I just struggled for so long trying to like figure out what's a good medium for me to like, what's a good path to take this, because I was like, I want to monetize it somehow, like I want to make money doing this. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. And for the longest time I just couldn't figure anything out. And then over the past year or two, kind of just seeing YouTube and seeing other YouTube creators, like other artists and stuff, and seeing what they were doing. And then I think the thing that tipped it over for me was seeing people have fun making videos that weren't just art stuff, like on YouTube, right? So I was like, because then my like the, you know, back in the day in high school doing like little skate videos and like making little skits and like fucking around with your friends, it all like clicked. And I was like, damn, okay, hold on, if I can put this and this and this and put it all together, I could have fun like making art and like videos and different kinds of content. It doesn't have to all be the same thing. And then YouTube just like the doors just like whoa, like opened up, and I was like, okay, maybe this is possible then.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's fascinating about it, right? The creator economy has basically opened the doors for people like us, right? Where you can take this innate artistic ability and the desire to create and all this stuff, and then it just gels together.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and they were asking me about YouTube and kind of how I got into it and like, you know, what I kind of how I saw myself in it. And I told him, I was like, I don't want to sound cocky, but like, it feels like I was made to do this because everything I like, I'm currently doing, you know? Like, like there's bullshit about my job, right? Like I have people I manage, and there's administrative stuff and sponsored deals and emails and all that shit. But at the end of the day, most of my time is spent in front of a camera creating and doing fun stuff like that. And I'm like, well, that's what I want to be doing, you know? And like you said, you know, if you know how to work Ableton or a DAW, you jump into Premiere and you're like, well, this makes sense. You know, it's a timeline. I can take video and manipulate it kind of like I would a sample clip or something. All that stuff like translates. And so it's not difficult to take an idea that you have and execute on it. And then, it's interesting because, you know, you mentioned it. We were like, I want to take this and I want to monetize it.
Right.
Because for whatever reason, you know, likes and views and all that stuff is great. But at the end of the day, it's so special to be able to say, like, I don't have to like scrap around to make a living to do what I want to do. Like it's really cool that we live in a world where people can get paid to do something that they want to do. Right. But it's like we have to come up with all these funny little like ways to do it, right? Like you said, like you have to sell prints or create a Patreon or start a YouTube channel, make an Instagram, and you have to basically create a brand around what you're doing, and then you can monetize that way. But I think that's why the Patreon model is so interesting, because you can just create and then be sort of compensated for your creations by people who really like what you're doing. Kind of like, you know, the name obviously comes from like the 15th century and the Medicis and the people like who patronaged art, right? Because if you think about it, the shit that we do, like videos and art and stuff like that, it has no real intrinsic value, right? From an economics perspective. What the fuck value is it to make a stupid video, you know, about motorcycles or, you know, funny animation or anything? The only value it has is that it just brings joy to other people. And that's really hard to commodify in the world today. I'm kind of rambling off about
No, that's a good point. I touched on a topic kind of similar to that in a different podcast where I was saying like art and music are so important to society, but like nobody realizes it, or like nobody really consciously like decides it. But it's like if you lost all your favorite TV shows that you watch when you get home after work, like life would just suck, you know, like not just TV shows, but for every like,
if you can't listen to your favorite song in the car when you're driving to work or on the train, for your example, like that would fucking blow.
Life
like
without the bops. Dude, you gotta have the bops, man.
It's sad.
But it's like, so it's super overlooked, right? But then it's super important. And I think like really artists and, you know, other creators and stuff should get compensated even more than they do for the most part, you know?
I mean, stuff like Spotify has been terrible for the music industry because now we just expect free plays on everything, and the artist makes, you know, fucking 0.001 cent on every stream, and it's like that. This isn't a sustainable model unless you're a Beyonce or a The Weeknd. Then, but then it's weird because it starts mimicking this super unequal economy that we have, where like the people at the top make all the money and everybody else gets scraps. The music industry looks like that now too. Everything looks like that now, really. I mean, I read a crazy statistic that was like 99.999% of YouTube channels make $0.
Wow.
it's all this super
Yeah.
small little sliver.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at that, that's why like I've met young kids and like I want to be a YouTuber. I'm like,
Yeah.
for the love of God, don't do that.
Right.
Like,
Right.
go be a welder, or go be something,
Mm-hmm.
because the odds are very slim.
Yeah.
But it's tough because then at the same time you don't want to crush somebody's dreams.
Exactly.
Like
Mm-hmm.
make stuff because at the end of the day, making stuff is fun. It's cool and fun to make things,
Yeah.
and it makes life meaningful intrinsically.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't, it's all messy. It's a very blurry
Yeah.
thing.
No, that's a good point though, because like if obviously I'm not a huge YouTuber or anything, but like if somebody like, because in Japan as well, like all the polls, a lot of kids are like, I want to be a YouTuber. So
Yeah.
it's across the world. It's kind of a global phenomenon right now. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, the main thing I would say is like, if anyone just asked me like if you for being an artist or being on YouTube and stuff, I would just be like, go do other stuff first. Like go get some life experience first.
Yeah.
Don't set out to be a YouTuber when you're 14, because unless you are like already involved in something that's really interesting, you're not going to have anything interesting to offer to the platform
Yeah.
or for people as in content, you know.
Yeah. There's no value.
Yeah, I was just talking to my mom the other day, and we were talking about this podcast and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I've always kind of wanted to try a podcast, but it feels right now. It feels like this timing feels right because I'm 30 now. I've had a lot of life experiences. I'm from Texas, moved to Japan, like have lived here for like almost 7 years now. And
it's so crazy when you put it in that context, man. That's crazy.
And like there's more people who are like more well traveled than I am, but like just having those, and like I've done a lot of different jobs now. I was an English teacher. I'm doing mostly translation work right now alongside the art stuff, and I finally have enough like life experience where I feel comfortable enough like sitting down, and I have freelance experience now too for almost about 2 years of being freelance. So I think that goes hand in hand with like the art kind of lifestyle. So I finally have some experience where I feel like able enough to like give advice or like talk about things, just talk things out and like relate to enough people. But it's like I'm 30 and I'm finally feeling comfortable enough. Like obviously you don't have to wait till you're 30. But if you're,
what's really trippy, Sam, is you said you've been in Japan for 7 years, right?
Yeah, I think it's almost, I think August will be 7 years.
In 3 years, you'll have spent a third of your life in Japan.
I know. I was just thinking that.
That's crazy.
Yes. I was like, at what point is it going to be more Japan than America? Like if I'm here for the long haul,
Yeah, I think when it'll be like when you're 40 something if I'm doing the math right, right?
I did the general. It's like between like 40 and 50 is when it'll like tip over. I think. Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
Yeah, I really think that you have a very unique perspective as a Texan living in Japan, and I honestly think like you could do really well in content that is around stuff like that. I've actually seen some videos.
Same.
I fell down a Japan rabbit hole on YouTube for a couple weeks there a few years ago, where I saw this one guy that was like showing different Japanese neighborhoods and like culture in Japan. And he had a type of content that was really popular where like he looked very Western, but he spoke perfect Japanese. And so he would have like a hidden camera and like go to places, pretend like he didn't know Japanese. Then he'd flip on perfect Japanese. Japanese people fucking freak out. Like, oh, he speaks, and people love that stuff. So I think leaning into that actually might work pretty well for you, but ultimately it's like, is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to be known for? I don't know. So then you have to kind of weigh that.
Well, that's because another thing I was going to bring up is like, obviously you're established, you have the type of content that you like to make, you have things that you want to try and stuff, but I'm definitely in a very experimental phase. Like the podcast is the one constant that I have right now, which I did on purpose. I was like, I want a video out a week. I want to be talking about stuff. The podcast will get better, so just start doing it. So I just started doing it. So this is pretty constant, right? But then everything else, like I just put out a tutorial video on my YouTube. I'll have another one out by the time this comes out. And I have a few other videos like in the works, but I'm still kind of finding my feet as like what I want to do. And I'm definitely interested in like some of the more Japan focused stuff. I did a reel, like a little YouTube short thing on around New Year's where we went to the shrine. Like every year in Japan around New Year's, you do your like the New Year visit to the shrine, and I had a lot of fun like making a little video about that. And it was cool because it was like I don't know, day to day, not everything I would do outside would be very interesting. You know, it's just a city. But that was cool because it was like a legit.
You think it isn't interesting,
True,
but
yeah.
to me, I'm like, wow, like look at this place. Like you know, you walk outside, you have the corner store, you have your train. Like I would be interested in seeing that. You know, much like a lot of people might be interested in seeing, you know, Texas. So like, where are the horses? Where are the cowboys? You know, and I like fucking run over some crypto bro in Austin, and I'm like, God damn it, lost another one.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I may be a little desensitized to Japan as well, just from living here for a while.
Yeah,
but no, that's, I think, because this is a good question. Then is like, what would you say for someone in my shoes? It doesn't have to actually be aimed towards me, but like for someone who's like committed, they're passionate about something and they want to do it with YouTube, would you say it's better to like explore, test things out, or is it maybe better to pick a niche right away?
No, you got to test. You don't know what's gonna work yet, right? And like that's unknowingly, that's what I did the first 8 months of my channel, is I was testing stuff, and then when I made that list video, I found something that worked, and then I was like, got it, locked in. Let's iterate on that. So eventually, if you keep trying enough stuff, you'll land on something that works better than something else, and you're like, hey, what is it about this that did better than the other stuff? And YouTube's really cool because they've invested so much money into the back-end analytics of the platform. YouTube Studio is an amazing tool, and they did it obviously because it helps them, because you help grow, and then they grow the whole thing, and blah, blah, blah. But once you get that first video that gets maybe over 100 views, 200 views, whatever it is, you have to look into that and be like, why did that do better? And then you have to figure out that reason and then make more stuff like that, if that's what you're trying to do. But yeah, right now, dude, is you just got to test a bunch of stuff. Bunch of stuff. So
throwing shit at the wall, but then being cognizant and being able to analyze what works when it works, and like pursuing that deeper. And then also looking into, you know, different niches and different things on YouTube that you could maybe emulate. I mean, there's so many styles that you could do with your own take on it. And at the end of the day, too, the thing you want to have as a through line through all these videos is what's the value someone's going to get out of it, right? Like this podcast, I think adds value because you have someone on here that has a decent following on YouTube talking about turning a hobby into a business. That's like, you know, that's pretty valuable, and we can get more into that to add value to the podcast. But that's got to be the through line. You got to think, if someone's going to spend time on your video, what are they getting out of it? You know? Yeah, I like that, because that's something that I struggle with when I'm thinking of content, and honestly, even just like my own art, because I think I have a really bad habit of like, it's like a blessing and a curse kind of thing, where like I'm not ADHD or anything, but I get like bombarded by creative ideas, like things that I want to like make, you know. I'm sure you're probably the same, because it's like you have a song idea, and then you have a video idea, and then you have like a drawing that you want to make, like, so it's all these things, right? But it's like I have like, okay, I have like 5 different things I want to work on, but I don't know which one to put all the time and effort into, and it kind of makes it hard. And I'm really trying to get better at being like very precise and like conscientious about like my choices of what kind of art I'm making. And it kind of sucks, because nobody wants to like sit down and be like, oh, I'm not inspired, so I'm not going to make anything. But you kind of got to just say like, hey, dude, that's not how it works. You got to sit down, you got to make it, you got to just figure out what's going on. But that's really good advice though. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what works, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's frustrating, but it's fun, because you're trying a lot of things, you're having fun while doing it. But you know, when you make a little video or a little short or something, and it just like falls flat, or like literally no one sees it, it's like, it can be a little discouraging. But like, I feel at this point I'm kind of used to that, so it's kind of like you got to just keep on grinding until you like get to the point where you are getting a little bit more successful. I know you'll understand this metaphor. It's the same as when you're in Pokemon. You got to sit out there in that tall grass for a long ass time. You got to grind.
So you get that little fucker up some levels, and then you can go and, you know, fuck them up.
It's like you start out, you're just grinding in the grass, and then you start to get some like subs, right? And it's like people giving you little rare candies, and it's like little by little you get more rare candies, and then the Pokemon you see are a little bit higher level.
Yeah.
I mean, right, like because actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you, like, because the journey is fun, right? But like, what is it like being someone who's like established and successful? Does it feel weird to you at all? Because you're still my friend from high school to me, you know. But like, I have seen how big you've gotten. Like, if I stop and think about it, it's crazy that like, you know, we're even here talking, and like, I'm really appreciative of you even being on here. But
Sam, come on, that's silly. I would do this. Yeah, come on.
but
like you're one of my oldest friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but at the same time, I'm like, it's Eric. I love Eric. He's like a homie from back home. Yeah. Like, so, but so to me, it's not that weird, right? Unless I like stop and think about it. What is it like to you?
Yeah, man. So most days I wake up and it's still a bit surreal, honestly. Like, I'm just like, wow, like, you know, if like you said, if you really stop and take a second and think about it, you're like, wow, this is all pretty crazy. Like I'm literally I'm sitting here in our office. Like, this is a 3,200 square foot facility we have here. And yeah, like over there is like, you know, 6 or 7 different motorcycles that we're giving away. And like up front is like desks where people work and stuff. It's pretty crazy, but honestly, I think my brain blocks that out, because if you sit there thinking about that too much, you kind of get lost in the sauce, and then you can't operate and execute. Like my big thing is, like you said, just doing the thing. So what we do is we have a content calendar that has all of our video ideas for the next 45 days already all mapped out at any given time. We meet every 3 or 4 weeks, and we adjust and we iterate, and then we have like, so we make daily videos, right? So you have to have everything nice and blocked out and scheduled and set up. So like, every week I already know what I'm doing. Like, I don't have to think about it. And, you know, I have such core competency talking about motorcycles. Like, you know, I was joking with you before we started the podcast, where I can turn on the kind of Yammi Noob persona whenever I want. And, you know, you point a camera at me, I'll talk about whatever bike you want. But no, it is weird. The weirdest thing about it is how it's like, the sky's the fucking limit. That's the most fun about it. Like, if it sounds so cheesy, but like, if you'd have told me what I'm doing now and what I think about now and what's normal to me now, like 5 years ago, I'd be like, that's fucking crazy. You know, like that's insane. Especially like with what our e-commerce operation is doing, and like how much we're selling and where that is going and the trajectory of that. It's really interesting. But the thing that I didn't really think about is, when you get to this established point, the most important thing you can do is protect your reputation and treat yourself like a PR, a politician type of character. Because the biggest mistakes I've made are self-inflicted PR disasters, as I've called them. Because you don't, like I said, if you don't think about it much, you don't realize that you'll say something wrong to 100,000 fucking people. You know, like, that's why that's why it's a fucking category on YouTube. It's like YouTube apology videos, because you know, if you have a camera pointed at you every single day, you're gonna fuck up. You're gonna say something that's not quite right. And so my two rules are, nowadays, protect the reputation at all costs and stay on topic. Stay the fuck on topic. Like, my big thing now is, I don't need to talk about the meta of my business, the meta of YouTube, my life. I am the vessel that's channeling motorcycle content.
Motorcycle vessel.
That's it. I'm the motorcycle vessel. That's it. And it's made my life a lot easier, just being like, I'm not being perceived as Eric. I'm being perceived as Yammi Noob, who is talking about motorcycles. Yeah, I mean, the mental health aspect of this job is fucking nuts, and that's something we could talk about too, because it's not always sunshine and rainbows taking your passion to be a business. Like, it's really weird, and it can crush, you know, sometimes what you loved about something, for sure, easily. So yeah, it was a long-winded answer, but I have a lot to say about it.
No, it's good. I think that's all good advice. And like, stemming off of that, it's like, people forget that you're a human being.
Dude, every fucking day they forget that.
Like, obviously,
like, I love my audience. I do. And they've provided for this business, and for there's literally people's livelihoods being provided for by the audience. And I'm so grateful for the community we have. But goddamn, people do forget that you're a human being for sure.
Yeah, and even if they're like, you know, just a person who's never seen your video before and they see a video for the first time and like leave a crazy comment or be like, man, fuck that guy or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
you don't even have to be big to experience this. You could have like 3 followers on Instagram and somebody will be like, you suck. This is shit. Like
yeah.
it comes from everyone and from all different kinds of angles. And like when you're online, when you have a social media presence, people forget you're just also a human being. And it's like,
Yeah,
like you're saying, it's a double-edged sword because it's like so beautiful. It's such a great job. Like there are so many like cool things about it, but then it's also like you got to be careful. And yeah, I mean, you were like telling me that as well before when we talked on the phone, just kind of like, right, like just be wary of what you're doing from the start and like make sure you're conscious of what you're doing at all times, because you don't want to dig a hole for yourself or like put yourself in a weird situation that's just going to be a hassle to get out of later. Like even if you haven't done anything wrong, people will just like make you out to be a villain, just because that's what people do on social media, you know.
People love to pick sides. That's the biggest thing. They love to have an us versus them. And if you're the them, good luck, bro. Like you're about to have a bad time. And I've unfortunately been on the receiving end of, I'd say, maybe 3 different kind of negative PR cycles. All of them were self-inflicted, like I said, and it makes me like just mad that I didn't have the foresight to do things better. So that's why I was telling you, I was like, dude, just whatever you do, just be cognizant that you're online, like you're being perceived.
Yes.
It may not feel like you said, you're putting something out, 12 people see it.
Yeah.
It may not sound like much for now. Yeah, for now. And then, you know, one day you put out a video and you said something wrong and fucking 200,000 people see it. Then you have all these reaction videos about what you said and all that stuff. And then, yeah, it's crazy. But I still think the positives of this gig outweigh those negatives for sure. I mean, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing, honestly. Like, sure, there are days when I don't read the comments, but if I do, if I see some negative ones, there are definitely days where I'm like, man, I just want to burn this whole shit down and go be on a beach somewhere. You know?
Yeah, it can hurt. It can hurt. I'm sure.
But you know,
yeah.
Well,
you were talking about, to get back into some of the like the advice for like other YouTubers and stuff. You were saying you're doing like basically daily videos and stuff like that. And I know there are different systems. Some, you know, some people like doing dailies. Some people do once a month, once a week. What would you say for someone who's like kind of just getting started? Like, what would be a good amount of content or videos to try and focus on? Like, have you figured out, is there a sweet spot when you're kind of starting out, or does it depend on what you're doing?
Yeah, it really, what it depends on is your ability to produce amazing content at the efficiency with which you can make it. If you're making something in your niche and you're making an idea that is really, really good and you know it's going to hit hard, but it's going to take you 2 weeks, that's fine, because you know that it's a good idea and you know it's going to perform, and you've lined up your title and thumbnail and you got that shit dialed in. Work on it for 2 weeks. Personally, I would say if you're in the discovery phase of your channel, that kind of first couple of months, make as much as you possibly can. What do I mean by that? I mean probably 2 to 3 a week. When I was working full time, I was making 2 YouTube videos a week, editing them myself, creating them myself. Yes, I didn't have much of a life outside of my job in YouTube, but you know, it did pay off. So I think that's a good cadence. 2 to 3 a week, test the waters, and then like once you kind of figure it out, then you can maybe spend 2 weeks on a video if you really know it's going to perform. But I personally, the reason we make daily videos is, I mean, YouTube's it's a black box sometimes, you know, like I know kind of what's going to work. Like, you know, if I put out a video, you know, X bike versus Y bike, probably going to do pretty well. If I do 9 tips for beginner riders, it's a good title thumbnail there, probably going to do pretty well, right? I kind of know it's going to work, but there's also times where a video I make totally fucking flops. So I have to hedge my bets, right? That's why I make as many videos as possible, because you never know what's going to work. And then instead of seeing my views go like this, right, throughout the month, it's more of like a nice plateau, and it's more sustainable for me.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good like way to think of it, you know. Because I'm kind of at that point right now where I have basically 2 videos a week coming out. I have the podcast, and then so for me it's like cutting in half. It's like the podcast is the constant, and then the other half is like the tutorial or like the funny video and stuff. And I make like little reels and YouTube shorts on the side as well. So about 2 to 3.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I'm glad that's a good number you gave there. I'm kind of hitting those numbers right now.
Another thing you can do as well is if you produce a huge piece of content like this, like we're making, you can totally split this out into a couple shorts and a couple reels and become more efficient in that way. That was something we were experimenting with last year, but our podcast, we had to kind of shut it down. But we were, we would basically make the hour and 15 podcast and then bust that out into 2 or 3 episodes of something else, because not everybody sees the hour and 15 podcast, right? And you can, like, I would highly recommend if you find something while you're editing this, something that you're like, oh, that was a great moment, dude, clip it out, turn it into a short, and then at me on there, and it'll get some search traffic for sure.
I like that. Yeah,
because dude, put my fucking brand name in the title. I already told you that, but it will help you. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and that's all good advice, and I agree. I think it's good. That's what, because this is I wanted to segue into this then, because like for me, for what I do is I have the podcast, and then I when I'm editing it, normally it's always towards the end when I give my little like soapbox kind of section. That's always the more like kind of interesting bit that people might like catch people's eyes. And I'll do, just for now, I'm doing just like one clip from that video, and then after I post it, because when you post into the void, like into Instagram or YouTube, a lot of people are going to miss it, especially with how the algorithm works nowadays, right?
100%.
So what I've found is like you have to like cushion it, right? By like, I post the podcast Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I have promotional content for the podcast that I'm going to be putting out on those days that are staggered after the podcast comes out. So hopefully, because you only you got about a week, maybe if you're lucky, probably closer to 4 days, right? If you're putting out content for those first initial views to come in. I'm kind of just guessing here, but it's like, for me, those are the crucial moments, like the first 4 or 5 days after posting something. So I have been experimenting.
Sam, I'm gonna be, I'll tell you something, it is the first couple of hours after you post.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
you're probably
so
right.
YouTube does this thing, and I'm pretty sure they started doing this after TikTok blew up. Is you have to measure the views per hour after a video goes live. It basically, YouTube tests a video once it goes live to see what kind of click-through, engagement, and watch time it's getting. If it's looking good, it's going to start pushing that shit out to everybody, because it's like, this video is great, people like it, let's show it to people. If it's not, it goes down the pooper, basically.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, knowing YouTube and like, right, because like a viral video, it kind of makes it hard, right, for a person who doesn't get as many views right at the start. Like, you're already kind of fighting an uphill battle. But okay, yes, that makes a lot of sense. That's
why it's so important to get the title and thumbnail right. It's half the battle.
Okay.
It's half the battle. People, they'll focus on the idea of the video, editing the video, and then at the very end they're like, oh shit, what's my title and thumbnail? And they just like, think about something like that.
Yeah.
What we do is every single one of our ideas starts with the title and thumbnail.
Yeah.
Every single video idea I have is the title and thumbnail and the idea. I make the content around it after that.
I've heard that from other people on YouTube, and I think that's a really, really good idea. I also I don't think I'm able to fully think it out that much right now as far as that, but I am very cognizant of like thinking like, okay, but is it gonna be like approachable as a video? I just did a Pokemon video where it's like drawing Pokemon by memory. I did a random spinner wheel. I gave myself a minute. I draw it, and then at the end, Asami comes in. My wife, she came in, and she like looked, because they were all shit. I only had a minute to draw them, right? And if she could tell what the Pokemon was, I like got the point or whatever. So it was kind of like a fun video based around that. But
that's a really great idea. That idea has a lot of legs as a format.
And I've seen videos just like that, basically the same video. I think I have a little bit of my own twist with like the judging aspect, and I was like, if I can get, I don't know, 4 out of 6, I'm a Pokemon master or whatever. Like try. It's a little cheesy, but I try to have fun with it, right?
That's fun. Yeah.
But the reason I went ahead and did it is because I was like, I know the thumbnail and the title will be there at the end. Like I know I can make something good out of that. So I think that's good. But how long do you actually spend on a thumbnail then, or like your team when you're creating one?
Yeah. So I would say when I used to do them,
Yeah.
I would spend about an hour to 2 hours on a thumbnail.
Okay.
I think now, because my team is better than I was, they're better at Photoshop and that whole thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they spend 30 minutes to an hour, but it then has to go to me for final approval and revision. I look at every single thumbnail before it goes live on the channel to make sure it's like good enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's crazy though. Like I said, if you could make a great video, but then like if the thumbnail's ass, nobody clicks on it, it won't go the video doesn't go anywhere. And we've had that happen so many times. And then there's other videos where I point the camera at me for 20 minutes and talk about something, and I fucking nail the title and thumbnail, and it does really, really well.
Yeah.
And so it's tough. It's tough. Yeah.
No, I think it's really important. I mean, I know a lot of YouTubers do touch on it. They talk about how important the thumbnails are. I mean, if you listen to like Mr. Beast talk about YouTube, you'll get like a wealth of knowledge from that as well. But I think it can't be stressed enough, probably, right? Like that's something that's really so important. And
your thumbnails can always be better.
Yeah.
Like they can always be better.
Because I right now I spend about 30 minutes or an hour working on them in Photoshop and stuff, just for like just getting it down. But I also spend like at least probably throughout the week, like whereas I'm making it, you know, 30 minutes, couple hours of like just thinking about it and like running through like rough drafts in my head and stuff. And it kind of,
you should also be spending time doing research on what makes a good thumbnail, because you don't have the baseline yet for it. Like I said, it's like pornography, right? You know when you see it, you don't know it when you see it yet. You're like a 7-year-old who's looking at porn. And you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. You know, why are these people wrestling? You know,
I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then eventually, like I said, you'll be able to see it from a mile away. Like that one will work, that one won't. You'll know why they won't. It's like you start to kind of like you'll be able to like see the matrix with it, you know?
No, I think that's cool. Yeah, I agree. I don't have like I like for this podcast I started out with like I think the thumbnails looked cool. I had like a theme to them and stuff, but it was like hard to discern me from the picture, and it wasn't. So I like went to a more traditional style and like, but with my own twist, and I'm having fun doing that. And that is one thing, is like I'll go and I'll look at like, just no matter what the genre or what kind of content is, I'll look at those people who are making good videos and I'll look at their thumbnails, but then I'll cross-reference with other like artist YouTubes, like YouTubers that are closer to the content that I make. And so right now, I think that's helping me a little bit, is kind of cross-referencing what's the really popular ones, and then what are the ones that are people are doing that are in your kind of like niche that are doing it too. So for anyone who's if anyone's unsure, right, about thumbnails, like study, like research people, get the references, and then like over time, right, it'll just become natural based on the content that you make.
And don't reinvent the wheel. Like just do what works. You know, people often get upset at me because like we make the list video format, or like our thumbnails a certain way. They're like, oh, I hate that you do this. I'm like, dude, it works. Like I'm not gonna make another thumbnail if I know this one's working. Right? Like, so you know, editing styles and the thumbnail styles, there's a reason it kind of homogenizes around a single look, because that's what works. We were talking about Mr. Beast thumbnails. Like he has like AI up-resed versions of his face. They work, you know, like showing a human face on the thumbnail is really good. People like seeing faces. They'll click on faces more. Yeah.
I've even seen where they just do the proportions, like the head is like 6 times larger than the body, but he I think he's talked about it too. He's like, I wanted just the face to be so big that just having like my body on there in any form or fashion was enough. Like it just needed to be my face. And he's like, I always put it on the left side of the thumbnail, and then it's my face. Because
there's the timestamp on the right, on the bottom right. You gotta think about that too. And in different formats, sometimes that timestamp can be bigger or smaller depending on where it's being linked or shown. So we don't put anything in like kind of the lower third to the right. I don't, anything that's important, I'm not putting it over there. Everything's top left over here. And then you really think about it, you're like, I'm being fucking optimized by this YouTube algorithm. You know what I mean? Like that's something I struggle with sometimes, is like, I just feel like as a human being, I'm being like slowly whittled by YouTube to like be the YouTube content creator. Do you know what I mean? Because ultimately you have to do what the platform wants you to do, right? There's no kind of swimming upstream when it comes to this stuff. So you end up doing things that feel quite robotic, quite bot
Mm.
like, you know.
Yeah, I think one thing I've learned over just like starting doing some YouTube stuff and just I was always the type of person who was like, I don't want to like earlier on I was the kind of guy who was just like, I'll let my art speak for itself. Like kind of a thing, which is a
Yep.
very like 10 years ago mentality kind of thing, right? And that's partly why
Yeah.
I had to let music go to the wayside, like put it to the side, you know? Because I couldn't let myself not do that with music. But I think you just have to like what's like you have to get over your own ego. You have to like
Yep.
learn that it's like you don't have to like sell out, right? You don't have to like sell out completely. You have to be able to, and this is something I'm finally like coming to terms with, is like you said, like YouTube works a certain way. If you try and be avant-garde and like revolutionary, it's not going to work. Like you don't need to do that
No.
like to a certain extent, right? So
Yeah.
just like learning, like being humble enough to be like, I want to produce content on YouTube, therefore I have to kind of like go with the rules and like kind of like
Yeah.
follow what's popular. And like at the end of the day, you can kind of make it like if you're smart enough and you can figure it out, then you're the one taking advantage of YouTube at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
You're still kind of like, you know, doing robotic things and like you're part of the algorithm or whatever, but at least you can feel like you come out on top. That's how I am kind of like looking at
Yeah.
it right now.
What's funny about it is like, you know, we're talking about, it's like, oh, you can't be avant-garde, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Hmm.
In a weird way, art and music are kind of like that too. There's rules, there's guidelines,
Yeah.
there's formats. Like, you know, if you want to make it in music, sure, you can make a 26-minute piece of experimental ambient
Yeah,
music.
some
Not gonna
noise rock.
not gonna get very
Yeah.
far. Yeah, some noise
Yeah.
rock. It's not gonna get very far, you know.
Yeah.
Versus if you make a nice tight 4-minute, you know, maybe even 2-minute piece of music that has like a verse, chorus, structured,
Yeah.
has, you know, if it's EDM, it has a nice drop, you know, something expected. It's not any different really. So
Yeah.
you know, it's funny. I think our whole world is kind of being optimized around stuff like that.
You're right, dude. Holy shit. I mean, tell me about it too, because like I went to, you know, I was learning about composition and music and shit. Like I got exposed to a lot of different kinds of music and art, and I'm like so thankful for that. But you know, I knew some people who are kind of like avant-garde composers, and it's just like depressing watching them. Like they love what they do and they really want to do their craft and stuff like that, but just knowing like in a really kind of like horrible way, knowing like, oh, that person's not gonna make it, like they're not gonna make it, or like or like I'm not gonna make it doing XYZ. Like having those realizations, like it hurts, because you're right, it's not just YouTube, it's not just anything, it's everything is kind of like that in this day and age. And even before, like commercialization and like commercializing yourself to be successful in something is like, unfortunately, has always kind of been the way.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I another analogy is like, you know, if you're cooking, right? Like there's certain fundamentals when it comes to cooking. Like you wouldn't grab like peanut butter and carrots and chicken and put them in a blender and put salt on it and put it in like an oven and be like, hell yeah, like check out what I made. You're like, no, fuck, nobody wants to eat that shit, you know? So it's a lot of stuff in life is like that you just have to, you know, follow rules and guidelines. And I think a lot about Pablo Picasso, right? People are like, oh, like super avant-garde, made his own stuff. Dude, all of his early works were like really good, traditional, like very traditional. Like he learned the craft first and then he started experimenting outside the bounds, you know?
Yes. Once he was already probably a little bit more well-known and established too, right? Yeah. So it's the same with a lot of like musicians and composers, like all of the avant-garde composers throughout the years of music, and we'll get back to YouTube in a second. There's just one last thing on the music. Like they all went to like conservatories in like France and learned like traditional music, like Bach and Beethoven, all the classical shit, like counterpoint, all that stuff. They all started with that and then realized, hey, it'd be cool if I strayed away from that and did this thing. So and like I don't want to sound doomsday when I like talk about this, of like, especially because I probably don't have like the right to really talk about like what you need to do in order to make it right. I'm kind of guessing as I'm going here. You'd have a better like weigh in on this, but you don't like learn the fundamentals, right? And then if you want to be avant-garde or different in a way, like you can still do that. You just have to be like smart about it. Like, so don't give up hope if you have a different like niche or something that you want to do, because like we were saying before, that is the beauty of YouTube, right? Is that those niches can reach out to so many people nowadays.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And one thing that I do is every month or every quarter or so, I kind of go for those avant-garde, stupid, weird
Yeah.
ideas,
Hmm.
like but I don't make that my whole channel, right? Like,
Exactly. Mm.
every month there's going to be good, consistent, quality content about bikes and learning bikes and what
Hmm.
gear you need and all that good stuff that's valuable to people.
Hmm.
And then every once in a while, I might, a crazy ass video might
Yeah.
pop out and it gets like no views, but I loved making it. It doesn't matter. And then the
Yeah.
next day, it's back to a good vlog or
Mm.
something valuable. And then that's how you can do the stuff that you really want to do that's weird and avant-garde, right?
Mm.
Like the one that I can think about recently was we did a video that was like Kawasaki riders be like, and it was this fucking insane like Space Odyssey thing that I did where like I dressed up like a Kyle character. I
Yeah.
had like a blonde
Yeah, I
mullet
saw that.
and like yeah,
It's
it
so
was
good.
so much fun. Yeah, it was fucking
Yeah.
awesome. I loved
Hmm.
it. I like the fucking dancing and the green screen
Hmm.
and all that. Got shit all views. Everyone
Mm.
hated it.
Mm.
And it got ratio too. It had like
Really?
70% like dislike. And I was like,
Damn. That's
but that's
crazy.
what I
That
mean.
was really funny
You gotta
though.
take I know, I loved it,
Yeah.
but you gotta take those risks as that's what makes life
Yeah.
interesting.
But here's the thing too, on a video like that, I think that's such a good like way of looking at it too, where it's like make sure you got your bases covered, and then when
Yep.
you have the free time, that's when you can make the fun stupid videos, because I guarantee you like someone like me that may not be super into motorcycles, but like you're outgoing on video, your videos are still fun to watch even if you don't know anything about motorcycles.
Yeah.
So it's like when you make those like left field videos that are just kind of funny or whatever, like might grab the attention of somebody who's not normally watching your content, like you could be pulling in some people, maybe not on that video in particular if it got, it didn't do so well, but still a really funny video. And I bet you that helps too, like with like any kind of burnout or anything like that too, like getting that little release of like making the funny stupid video. Because even for me, like I have little like comedy sketch videos that I think of all the time. I have like a notes in my phone where I just write like stupid. Some of them don't have to do with art at all, and I'm like storyboarding them out in my head. I'm like, I don't even know if I should even try this, but it's fun even just to get it down on a note, on a memo, and like write it out, and like to just have that other outlet to maybe make someday, or just have fun and like. But yeah, the main thing is probably right. Like, make sure your bases are covered and you're not like straying too far. Otherwise, you're probably just not going to see any growth, I'm assuming.
Yeah. That definitely is how it is for sure.
I know we were talking about Spotify and like that kind of stuff. I do want to, if we can touch on YouTube Shorts just a little bit here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like YouTube Shorts to me seems like how Spotify is for musicians. Like where it's like,
yes,
everyone's watching it, everyone's listening, everyone's seeing them, but it's like at the end of the day, behind you peel back the curtain and it's like, oh, that's like 2 cents. Like no one's getting anything.
Dude, it's fucked. I'll pull up something actually because I want to get the I want to get the exact figures because
that would be great.
So in February, YouTube announced that it was like, hey, we're gonna monetize YouTube Shorts, all this good stuff, and it's like, cool, like let's see what happens. So we scheduled out 8 to 9 days. I think it was 9. We scheduled out 9 different shorts to go live within that first month. And I was like, let's see how this goes. And then a lot of different kind of contents. I was like, oh, this is the loudest bike I've owned. Like nobody warns you about this on a motorcycle. These bikes are for mature riders only. And we did this one that was called Learn This Easy Motorcycle Trick. And it was just teaching people how to do a burnout.
Nice.
And this video got 600,000 views. Okay.
Yeah.
600,000 views, right?
Yeah.
Take a guess at how much money it made.
Like $150.
$5.33.
Wait, what? Oh my god.
It made. I don't know if this will pop up on screen.
Yeah, if you maybe might be able to if it focuses. Oh, there you go. Oh my god. I literally like 100 times that. Oh my god, in my guess.
$5.
5? Wait, so
$5.
how much?
You can in today's economy with inflation, you can't get a $5 footlong from Subway with that. So what's the point?
I love how that's the standard. Like, you can't even buy a fucking footlong with this bitch.
All of our whiteboards here, all the metrics are in footlongs. I'm like, how many footlongs did we make this month?
Fuck metric, fuck standard. We go by footlongs here, bro. That's how we do things. Dude, that's so what is the per 1,000 views breakdown on that then? Like 0.01 cent or something?
Yeah, it's less than, I don't even know. It's just ridiculously bad.
Because I actually
and that's and I was gonna say that's like pretty normal from what I've seen from what other people are reporting. And it's like, compared to our long form content, it's fucking laughable. Like laughable.
That's crazy. Because I remember because when it rolled out, I saw you post that, like, something on a different video or whatever, and I was like, dude, that sucks. And you're like, dude, it's crazy. And then I saw other content creators talking about it as well. I actually just touched on this in my last episode. I was talking about short form versus long form content, and I touched on YouTube Shorts. And I was trying to be optimistic. I was like, it looks like it's dog shit right now so far, but we'll see if it gets better, right? And I think I was saying that, like, a lot of people are even getting like 3 cents to the 1,000 view. So if you get like 1 million views, you might get like $300. But that's
so many views, bro.
Yeah, but that's wrong. That's like, if that was your video,
also totally wrong.
But because I had seen some people were getting like up to 2 or 3 cents per 1,000 views, right? So this is like, maybe depending on what region you're in, or like what the ad pool revenue is at.
Yeah.
But like, goddamn, I feel like I need to go back and like add a disclaimer or something. But
it is crazy because, like, our long form content, we'll make between $8 to $10 per 1,000 views.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And then we'll make a video that gets 80 to 100,000 views. That's good revenue on that video. And then, like I said, the kind of plateau of everything. And then you're like, oh, okay, we did 5 million views this month across everything. That's a nice kind of part of our revenue for the business. But
can't be mad at those numbers. That's pretty good.
Yeah, right? But the thing about the YouTube Shorts that pisses me off is YouTube is basically pitching it as like a, hey, like, if you're a shorts creator, a long form creator, like, you'll get rewarded and you can create your own way. Right. It's like, dude, no, bro, like, there is no world, in my opinion, in which someone can make a living doing just shorts. Yeah. It's simply impossible, because the view counts have to be biblical for it to even make any kind of sense,
Yeah. That's what I was touching on. Like, my takeaway from it, I was like, unless you're a content creator who's making shorts and you're getting millions on millions of views for every single short you put out, which is like, you even said it's like 99,
totally unrealistic.
Yeah, 99.999 aren't even monetized. So you think about like how few of the creators that are actually going to be like lucrative for that like way of getting money. Like, it's literally, and my point was too, it was like, if you're getting that many millions of views on a short anyway, it doesn't matter. You're probably already getting millions of views on a different long form video and making enough money that way. So it's like, they're losing all the incentive to give people incentive to make shorts and like focus on short form content.
The worst part about it too is I had a call with the COO at Spotter. And Spotter is a company that what they do is they basically buy out your back catalog of YouTube content and pay you up front for it. Okay. And we had a deal that was kind of floating around, but ultimately I didn't pull the trigger on it. I think that we're going to be better off for it. But what he said that he learned from a YouTube insider that I thought was fucking crazy is in 2019, I think it was, or 2020, short form content versus long form content being consumed on the internet was 10% to 90%. 90% long form, 10% short form. Okay. In 2022, it was 50-50. So the curve of people watching shorts has exponentially increased, which is why YouTube's focusing on that, right? Because their play is like they're now basically competing with TikTok.
Yeah, it's TikTok. Yeah.
I really think they're hollowing out the creator economy by doing this, really. But it's weird because they're following what people are doing, and if more people are watching shorts than long form, then that's what they have to push and incentivize. Yeah. But that's why I've built my business not that reliant on YouTube AdSense. We have our website with our membership that does way more than YouTube AdSense. We have our sponsors. We have our e-commerce operation. Like, if I made 0 AdSense dollars, I could still operate this business.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be as fun,
Right.
but
Right.
it could still work. But a lot of creators are not diversified in that way, and they're kind of fucked, honestly, if that happens.
I think that's a really good point too, is like you have to adapt, you have to change. And when something like shorts gets monetized and you realize like, well, fuck me, like this isn't what we thought it was going to be at all, this isn't lucrative at all, like you have to have those other revenue streams coming in, like Patreon and having your own website. I mean, you guys do like, you have sponsorships, right? And you do like the bike giveaways and stuff like that, which is really cool. And I really like that kind of stuff too, because you're staying so connected with your community by doing that too as well, right? Like your audience is like actually invested, they actually care. Like some people, right? Like you literally give people motorcycles, which is like super crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's a really good thing to take away too, if you're someone like me, where like because I obviously, like, I have multiple revenue streams because I'm a freelancer, so that's something I've kind of been working on on my own, like outside of YouTube and stuff. So like if I can get money coming in through YouTube, that's just the cherry on top of the cake, and then I can maybe invest more time into that kind of stuff. But I think for anyone who's coming up and like looking at YouTube as a career, or trying to do what I'm doing, where you're switching from like maybe one job, you're turning that passion into your full-time job, right? Coming kind of back to like our main focus of the podcast is like, you have to be realistic about things, and right, like diversify as much as you can. Like when did you start your Patreon? How far in were you when you started that up?
So that was 3 years after I had the channel.
Okay.
That's when I started it. And then I built my own website a year after that. And that was really the turning point. But then we launched our store in 2021, but it really started taking off because I hired an e-commerce guy early last year. So yeah, I mean, we have 7 figures in sales on the e-commerce operation.
Hell yeah,
it's doing really well.
Fuck yeah,
it's doing great.
Awesome.
But it's so like, it's so stressful and so difficult and so like, I mean, it really changed how we did stuff, because now it's like, now I have to balance when I make a video. It's like, does it make more sense to promote my memberships or my store or a sponsor, or like maybe for retention for the video, I don't promote anything at all. Like now you're playing this balancing act of like, you know, if I make a video, I'm going to promote something, right? How do I promote it? What am I promoting? At what point of the video am I promoting it? Like that's the kind of super high level strategy stuff that like I need to figure out that nobody else can really figure out, which that's really the hard part, right? But yeah, that was when we launched the Patreon, and that's how we did everything else. But
I never even thought of that. That's such a good point of like, once you get to a certain point, there are deeper things, right? It's probably like a 5-dimensional chess where like new doors keep opening up.
Underwater Jenga, bro.
That's crazy. Yeah, because it's like, you know, when you're just starting out, you don't have to worry about that stuff, or like at the like,
and that's why it's more fun. You just make stuff,
or it's just like, oh, I can just promote my last video. That's all I have to worry about, you know, or like the next video coming out or something like that. Yeah, I mean, but going back to like, being diversified, right, and like having those different, because you never know, like what the Susan Wojcicki just stepped down. They have a new CEO for YouTube coming in, and
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, this is real recent.
Oh shit.
It's Neil something. Sorry, I forgot his last name. I think he was like the head of like product development or something for like 7 years, and he's been with Google. So it's another like Google long-term person.
Yeah.
And of course, like I see this news, and I don't really know too much about like Neil or like what it's going to entail with the change, but there are those people immediately like, YouTube's, it's gonna go down the shitter, like this guy wants to do XYZ, or like he was I think Neil was one of the proponents of like possibly putting NFTs into YouTube and stuff, and people are like, we were like, don't do it, bro, don't do it. They're like,
don't touch that shit, bro.
They're like, as long as he doesn't do that, like we'll like give him a chance. So
what's funny is they said the same thing about Susan, but really, I mean, in the last 5 years, YouTube has turned the ship around like fucking crazy. Right. I mean, it's amazing what YouTube has turned into and what it is now. And but people all like, dude, the peanut gallery always talk shit about it. But like, think about it this way, like the peanut gallery, that's like, they're gonna ruin it. And I'm like, you have no fucking idea what it's like to be the CEO of YouTube, dude. Like that's the hardest, that's got to be one of the hardest fucking jobs. Like where do you even start to think about how to run that business? You know, it's that must be challenging.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be in those shoes.
I wouldn't either. And that's always like the perspective I have is like, if they're not just royally fucking everything up, I kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. You know,
yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
like, they probably don't even, you know, there's so many other like teams that are like actually working, and like, yeah, she probably gets the last say on a lot of things, but she can't invest that much time into every little change that happens, you know. So like, okay,
for me it's like, do I go on my computer and YouTube is still up? Great, they're doing a good job.
Yeah,
servers are still up, baby, they're doing good.
Exactly. But like at the end of the day, it's like you never know, the amount of money or like the lucrativeness of YouTube could fluctuate over the next 10 years or something. So it's like
it
is important, right, to like kind of have your like, so just what would, outside of YouTube, then is it probably your website then, right, is like your best, most reliable source of income, you'd say?
Yeah, for sure. Our membership is our most reliable and our best growing kind of source of revenue. Yeah.
So what do you do, like if someone becomes a member, they get access to different things on your website and
yeah,
like merch
so
and stuff?
if they become a member, so the way we have it integrated right now is if you become a member on yammynoob.co, you get 10% off on our shop, and we actually sell like, you know, gear like helmets, tires, parts, those sort of things. So you get a 10% off on there. You get access to our community Discord server, which is like the main way you kind of hang out with us and do everything else. You get 10% off on a service called Twisted Road, which is a peer-to-peer motorcycle rental company that I'm actually an investor in. And that's why we set that deal up. And then you also get entries to win the giveaway bikes, which is the big thing that a lot of people sign up for. So they sign up, they get entries to the bikes. And what I want to make very clear, just in case anybody is listening to this and is an attorney or anything like that, it is a sweepstakes. You can sign up for free and register for free, and you can mail me postcards and share on social media and earn entries in many different ways. You do not have to pay to get entered to win. I just want to make that super clear, just in case there's an attorney listening.
Bob, if you're listening,
Bob,
it all checks out, okay?
Get the hell off my dick, Bob.
Get out of here, man. Come on. We're doing everything clean. Don't worry. No, that's awesome. Yeah, so I guess, and it all kind of goes back to the sweepstakes, right? Where it's like the motorcycle but that's a lot of other like perks.
Because it's kind of a loop, right? Like basically, like I buy the giveaway bikes. That allows me to make really good content. The people sign up for it. I can buy more or better bikes and make more content, and it kind of just keeps looping around, basically. Yeah, I mean, it's similar to like the standard like Patreon model, right? Where if like a lot of some YouTube creators, they make their content and then they have a Patreon where it's like, if you want me or us to make like these special videos where we put more time and effort into them, all we have to do is meet our goal for like the amount of money that we need, and then you get that content. And like, obviously some of that will be coming off and going into them as just income revenue for them, which it should be, you know, like that's good. And I try as much as I can to support artists that I really like on Patreon. Me too. So I suggest anyone, like, right, because it's like, how can you support people, right? I know we can kind of start wrapping things up and maybe get into some last tips or advice that you might have for anyone trying to make it with YouTube and stuff. But like, I'll put it this way really quick about the Patreon thing. You know, think about it this way: if you pay someone $5 a month, that's the equivalent of you watching their videos like at least 1,000 times. Wow. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. So like, if you really appreciate someone, just even $5 a month to a creator is literally like watching 1,000 of their videos. Yeah. So, I mean, I always joked, but like, you know, if people paid Yammi Noob as a business, right, $10 a year, if every one of my subscribers paid me $10 a year, I wouldn't have to shill any sponsors. I wouldn't have to you know, set up any kind of membership website, nothing. It could just be so much cleaner and simpler. But you know, so many people are not willing to pay for any type of content. They want free content. So if you want free content, then you have to rely on the support of a very small percentage of people. You know, like, you know, I think it's 1.1 million subscribers or something like that. On our website, we only have about 3,000 or 4,000 people. And those people literally pay more than all those millions of people watching.
Yeah, probably like combined.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Combined. Yeah. So you really only need a small group of people who really love you. There's this idea of like the 1,000
yes,
fans.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, you don't need that many people. You just need about 1,000 people who like are willing to pay you $10 a month or $100 a year, whatever it is, and then you're pretty much there. So just need those super fans.
I like that. Yeah, and I think that's given me hope over the years of like trying to make my own art and stuff like that. Because for me, the people that I end up investing the most time and money in are people that, even if I don't really like them that much at the start, like I'll normally, if it's interesting enough, I'll watch a few more videos, or like, I'll go back and check them out. And a lot of the times, just from watching videos over a period of time, I come to like the person more, or I get to know the personality. And then like some of those YouTube videos or some of those podcasts or some of those things that I've come to love, like that are now staples in my life, I didn't even like them when I saw them the first time. But it's like they had something. First of all, they're consistent, right? So that's super important. Like they were always there for me to go back to in case I felt like, actually, I want to check out that video again. And then they had the personality, or like something that draws you in, right? I feel like that's probably why you did so well, is because like, I don't know, like you're like funny, and like you have an interesting way of like you're good on camera, you're funny, you can like kind of relate to people,
Yeah.
And I'm sure that probably drew people in, because like I don't know what the whole motorcycle YouTube world is, or like outside of YouTube well, but I imagine there's some sticks in the mud. Like, no offense to anyone out there, but like, I'm sure there's some like kind of bland people out there.
No,
like,
man.
boring.
The funniest thing was when I first started making content, I wanted to make it to like reflect people like me, because I felt like there were not people like me making motorcycle content. It was like very different types of people. I don't want to get into like specifics, but like just not like I'm a different kind of guy, like I just feel like, artistic, musical, like, a little higher level thinking, like, for motorcycling, it can be a bit of a little low brow sometimes. And so I realized that, by leaning into my qualities, it made it better. Like I put classical music in my videos when I started out, and people were like, whoa, this is super different, and I liked making jokes about the economy, or, other stuff like that. And people were like, oh, like there was a general desire for, something a little different, a little higher level in that niche,
Yeah, I think that's what I was kind of trying to get at too, is like you have more other interesting things to bring to the table, and inherently that's just going to make your content more likable, more watchable and stuff. And I try to be conscious of that and kind of add that in. Like I have a perspective, like not a lot of people can come over here into Japan, like from America or other countries, and like normally you're teaching English and then you go home. Like it's really hard to kind of like do other type of work. And of course there are a ton of expats over here doing artistic stuff as well, but not a lot of them are really on YouTube, or like, not a lot of people are doing exactly what I'm doing. So I'm trying to make sure I take advantage of that. And like, I think I have an interesting perspective enough where I can make things hopefully, over time create like a nice little audience, or like a good following of people. So just kind of like to tie things up here, is there any kind of like last bits of advice or anything you'd want to say to someone who's essentially like me, kind of trying to make their passion into their job with YouTube?
I think really lean into who you are. Obviously, like we talked about, there's kind of rules and regulations, so to speak, in YouTube. Like there's formats, there's formulas, but at the end of the day, the only way it's really going to work for you is if you really lean into who you are and what you have to offer. It's not going to, if you try to be somebody else, it's not going to work. If you try too hard to emulate somebody else, it's not going to work. You have your unique voice and your unique value proposition of your, like you said, your life experiences. You're 30, you've been living in Japan, you know how to animate, you know about music, you can speak fucking fluent Japanese, which is insane. Because I didn't know you like that when we were younger. Fucking speaking fluent, much like you didn't know me as a motorcycle rider at all when we were younger. That's like a huge part of my life now. And that's what I would say. Anybody who's watching this and you're thinking about turning your passion into a career, or you're trying to, really lean in on it. Lean into what you have to offer and who you are, and then just fucking do what works and keep doing it. Just, you have to, like, you're doing such a great job of it, Sam, of like,
thanks, man.
Just doing it, you know, like just putting yourself out there and just doing it. That's the most important step, is just getting started. So many people just don't even do that. And they're like, oh man, like, I wonder why it didn't work out for me. It's like, you didn't fucking do anything.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's so important to just fucking do it. So yeah, that's what I would have to say.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's really good. I honestly, I back that up 100%. I think that's really important. Just doing it right and like getting out there and starting, and like, I don't know, as someone who's in the middle, right? As someone who's just still in the thick of it and starting right now, like when I mean, seeing people like you, you know, we have a lot of friends, right, who are creative and are like artists and stuff, but I don't think we have too many friends who are kind of like doing, obviously, like doing exactly like what you're doing. Like, you know,
it's weird how we have 7 friends who have 1 million subscribers on YouTube, man. Like,
we have
something in the water in Frisco.
A secret league of YouTubers from Frisco, Texas. No, but
is it Frisco like they have like a gaming compound now, or like a museum, or it's turning into like a little bit of like a content creator hub, isn't it?
Really?
I heard. Yeah,
I mean, it's huge. It's getting so big.
I heard that they had like a fucking gamer compound or something up there. I don't know.
That would be kind of sick. I mean, they're getting Universal Studios Japan.
No, I know what it is. I know what it is. Dude Perfect has an office up there, like this massive YouTube channel. Like they have like 30 million subscribers or something. They have an office in Frisco.
I don't know if I've even heard of them. That's awesome. That's crazy, dude. I mean, Frisco, Texas is getting so big.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's nice having like artistic friends and stuff, but it's also nice like having a friend like you where you're actually into like YouTube and stuff, and like, I don't know, it's hard to like bounce, like when people can't really relate to what you do, even if they're one of your friends who are artistic, it can be kind of like alienating in a way. So just wanted to say thank you for just kind of like, I'm so glad we just kind of like got back in touch and like just hanging out. Like, I know we jumped around a lot this podcast, but to be honest, dude, I'm just like glad we got to sit down and like hang out and chat. And I think
no, it's really nice. As soon as I saw that you were trying to like do YouTube a little bit, because like I can tell like when someone's like trying to make content. I was like, man, I gotta hit up Sam. I was like, we gotta talk, because I hadn't talked to you in so long, and I thought it was really interesting you were trying to do it. Yeah,
you reached out, which like was so nice. Because you're like, dude, I see you making those videos, like, nice, keep it up. And I was like, damn, that's like, to be honest, man, I needed that. I really needed that, because like I have confidence in myself. Like, don't get me wrong, like I know the struggle, the hustle, and the grind, but like having you just be like, dude, I see you, man, like let's chat, like I'll give you some advice, or like also let's just hang out and like catch up and stuff. Like that was really really awesome. So thank you. And like if you're a creator out there alone, right, like try to make some good friends, have some good friends that you can lean on.
That's
even
huge,
if, right? Even if they're not YouTube creators, like if you have anyone who's like, they don't have to be like same hobbies as you or anything, anyone that can kind of like give you that mental moral support, right? Like I think that's huge, because I have, obviously, you know, like we have a really good group of friends, and obviously don't keep in touch with literally everyone, but you know, just having people like you, or like my family, or like people, you know, the day one homies that I know will tell me the truth and like give me the real. It's so important. And also just I wanted to say thank you, because even just getting that message and like you coming on here, like it's giving me motivation, you know, like you're definitely inspiring.
Dude, let's get this video to break 1,000 views. Let's do it.
Fucking do it, man. Yeah, I think we can. I think we can. All the Yammi Noobers out there.
That's not what they're called.
I know. I like was in the middle of saying that. I was like, that's not it.
No,
that's not the way.
Sam.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, man, dude, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome, man.
Yeah.
Any last words?
I think you said it better than I ever could, so I think we'll just leave it there. And
also, any last words is a little ominous, so it's like I'm gonna
Eric's gonna kill me after this. He's actually in the room next door. I'm at Yammi Noob headquarters right now.
Say your prayers.
No, I don't have anything else to say. Just a huge thank you to you for coming on, and for anyone who's listening, I hope it helped. I hope you got something out of this video, and because I know I did, just on a personal level. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
See you guys.